Welcome back to the Robert Morrison Project YouTube channel. We at the Robert Morrison Project believe that Reformed Christian publishing can and should be used in the formation of a global mission strategy. In this video, I'll be raising a key question as it relates to global missions. Let's get started. I'm standing outside the library at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary in Wake Forest, North Carolina. The library here at Southeastern has more than 200,000 physical books in its collection. As with any seminary, books are a vital part of a pastoral education. In fact, it's hard to imagine doing pastoral training and discipleship without a wide range of literature resources. Most seminary libraries in the English-speaking world have several 100,000 books in their collections. There's an endless number of books and genres to choose from. Let's go inside and take a look. Now we're inside the library at Southeastern, and they have a wide variety of books available. There are commentaries, biographies, Greek and Hebrew grammars. There are books on marriage and missions, and an endless number of variety of books are available. Now, one genre within Christian literature is systematic theology. A systematic theology book seeks to summarize the message of the entire Bible on each of the key truths of the Christian faith. They are a vital resource to help pastors and lay leaders interpret the whole counsel of God in a clear and coherent way. And they help prevent taking passages out of context. Here are a few well-known examples. There's Charles Hodge, Louis Berkhoff, and Wayne Grudem. Now, I'd like to ask a publishing question that has important implications for global missions. How many systematic theology books have been published in the English language? And a close follow-up question is, how does the number available in English compare to other languages around the world? How are these questions related to global missions? Well, the number of systematic theology books in a particular language is somewhat of a barometer. It's a barometer that gives a rough indication of how prepared the church is to train pastors, disciple new believers in the region of the world where the language is spoken. So, for example, if few or no theology books are available, then church planting and pastoral training will be a far more challenging task. It's also a barometer on the overall status of Christian publishing in that language. Now, admittedly, it's not a perfect indicator, but the number of systematic theology books does give a rough idea of where Christian publishing is at in that region of the world. The bottom line is, it's much more difficult to plant churches in the absence of Christian publishing. One of the best places to go to answer our question is an online book catalog called WorldCat. WorldCat is the world's largest online library catalog that allows you to search the collections of more than 15,000 libraries in more than 100 countries. Over 3 billion physical books and digital assets are recorded there. It's truly a remarkable research tool. I thought it would be helpful to get the input of a seminary librarian on our question of how many systematic theology books have been published in the English language. Recently, I asked Dr. Barry Driver, the head librarian at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville. He answered our question based on his search in WorldCat. Here's what he had to say.
Christians began Bible study with what we call exegesis, to interpret, to draw out, and to apply the meaning of biblical texts. In church history, this has been of monumental importance. Through the study of the Bible, Christians have produced teaching instruments, catechisms, and doctrinal formulations, creeds, and confessions. This serious study of Scripture has been cataloged and categorized and systematized in special books that we call systematic theologies. These systematic theologies exist in the thousands. Just in the English language alone, the WorldCat catalog, which we use in this theological library as our major database, indicates over 3,000 systematic theology titles in the English language.
There are 3,000 systematic theologies published in the English language. Our cup certainly runneth over. We are certainly very blessed. But what about other languages around the world? How many systematic theology books are available in other languages? I'd like to answer this question by creating a visual picture of what's available in English compared to other languages around the world. Now, to do this, we need to move to a larger venue. I'm in a classroom at a local church near my home. Behind me is a visual picture of what 3,000 systematic theology books look like. Now, full disclosure, I do not literally have 3,000 books behind me. Behind me are photos of books fastened to poster board. However, while the stack of books is not real, the dimensions are about right. According to my rough calculations, 3,000 systematic theology books will be approximately the dimensions of what you see here. It'll be about 4 feet high, 6 feet deep, and 8 feet long. We certainly have been blessed with an abundance of literature resources. What is interesting about this is that the vast majority of these systematic theology books have been published in the past 50 years. My estimate is about 80% of these books have been published in the last 50 years. But how does this abundance compare with the rest of the world? How many systematic theology books are available in other key languages around the world? Let's start with Bengali. Bengali is spoken in Bangladesh and has more than 200 million speakers worldwide. The church is growing in Bangladesh at a phenomenal rate. Some estimate that the church is now about 10% of the population, or about 15 million people. How many systematic theology books are published in Bengali? None. Nepali. Nepal has one of the fastest growing churches in the world today. According to a report from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, the church in Nepal has an annual growth rate of more than 10%. About 1 to 2 million Nepalis profess to follow Christ today, or about 3 to 5% of the population. How many systematic theology books are in Nepal? None. Central Asia. The 5 key languages of Central Asia, none have a systematic theology. Turkish. Turkey has about 84 million people. 3 systematic theology books are available in Turkish. Well, this might sound like good news. One Turkish Christian publisher said to me, 2 of the 3 systematic theology books are out of print and impossible to find. The translation for one is not so bad, but not very clear in some parts. 1 is available in Urdu, 2 are available in Burmese, 3 are in Thailand, and 1 is out of print. 3 are available in Vietnamese, and 1 in Farsi. Hindi is one of the key languages of India, with more than 425 million speakers worldwide. There are 6 systematic theology books available in Hindi. One Indian Christian publisher said this about the availability in Hindi. One of the problems with all the literature resources in India is that either the translation quality is not good, or books are very limited or unavailable in paper or electronic format. Amharic. Amharic is spoken in Ethiopia. There's only 1 systematic theology book available in Amharic. The publishing situation in Ethiopia is very similar to India. One Christian publisher in Ethiopia said, "Christian publishing in Ethiopia is very, very minimalistic in content, quality, quantity, and distribution, among other things. There have been some missionary organizations that used to translate and publish books in Amharic, but they don't do much anymore. Christian publishing in general is rare, and when you think about sound biblical content, it's very hard to find." Now let's step back and look at the big picture. We just looked at 11 languages in several global South countries. What we see here, unfortunately, is fairly typical of other languages in the global South. Most languages either have no systematic theology books or have books that are poorly translated or are inaccessible to the local church. They're either out of print or are paper books without bookstores and distribution networks. What are the practical implications of this? It's an uphill climb to plant churches and train pastors in global South countries with little or no access to supportive Christian literature. But to me, what is most surprising of all is that Christian authors and publishers in the English-speaking world still continue to add to this pile of systematic theology books. There are a number of publishers who are publishing brand new systematic theology texts in the English language. Several have recently been published, and some will soon be published. One new systematic theology that is currently being published is a 5-volume edition, and another is a new 1-volume edition. To be very honest, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around this. When these new systematic theology books are published, let me give a visual picture of what it will be like. When their books are released, it will be like this: 3001, 3002, 3003, 3004, 3005, 3006. These new systematic theology books are being published in English when there are none in Bangladesh, and there's none in Nepal, and there's none in Central Asia. And the other languages that do have 1 or 2 books available, they're often in a form that is inaccessible to the local church. When I look at this publishing imbalance, my mind is drawn to James chapter 2, verses 15 through 16. The passage speaks of the importance of caring for the physical needs of others. Caring for physical needs is one way that faith and deeds work together. James writes, "Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it?" Can we not also apply this passage to the spiritual and publishing needs of the global South? I do think this is a fair application of this text. For example, we in the English-speaking world have more than 3,000 systematic theology books. There are more than 60 Reformed publishers publishing in English. How then can we say to our brothers and sisters in Bangladesh, Nepal, and Central Asia who have no systematic theology books, "Brothers, go in peace, keep warm and well fed"? How can we say these things when they have no literature resources and we are swimming in a sea of books? How can we continue to add to the pile of 3,000 books when there's nothing in Bangladesh? The publishing imbalance in the English-speaking world is a clarion call to reevaluate our publishing and mission priorities. For the Reformed community, there's an urgent need to think globally, strategically, and proactively about how our literature resources are used worldwide. If you'd like more information on what you've heard, or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me via the Robert Morrison Project website. We also have a number of unfunded publishing projects in several global South countries that you or your church can support. We'd love to speak with you further about this. Thank you for watching, and be on the lookout for our next video.